my goodness. Do we have a lot of stories and first, at least for me, to talk about? So let's dive right in. You guys are listening to Author Talk with me, Aimee, Valerie, and Russell. Our author guest, Lee, might join us. I know that they are in North Carolina and they may be having some internet issues. So if we need to reschedule, we might. But let's dive into everything, shall we? Okay. So Aimee hit a lot of firsts this weekend. You guys, Aimee traveled out of Texas. Holy crap. Can we believe this? I know. The Texan girl has left Texas. I went to North Carolina is where I went. And to say that flying is enjoyable is an understatement. I don't enjoy flying. I'm terrible at it. It's just, that's just the truth of it. I'm terrible at it. It was not fun. I understand why they call Spirit Airlines Spirit is because you might meet your spirit. Okay, like let's just be real. Russell, you're muted, but I can only imagine that you're
never fly Spirit.
I know.
That was your first mistake.
It was the earliest flight home that I could get in the time that I needed. I didn't, because I still had an hour and a half drive home. So I didn't want to land at 9 o'clock and then not be home until almost 11. That's just really rough for me. I get really cranky at night and I have a hard time driving at night. The headlights bother me. So I'm not very good at driving at night. So I wasn't confident in doing that. So, we went with it. But you guys, I was at the Women in Publishing Marketing Summit this weekend. And it is, I'm not even going to lie to you. I was nervous about going. I'm always nervous about these things, unless it's online where I'm in my happy space, right? And I saw so many of my clients there that I don't have the opportunity of getting to meet in person. And they recognized me and they were just so excited to be there. And so that was the coolest part, was that I got to put bodies with faces. I know you guys all have bodies, but still, and so that was just awesome. I got to meet Alexa in person, which I have never done. I've just seen her online. And if you don't know her, I like to call her and Carrie, who was the other co-host, big movement shifters in just the writing and publishing community. They're amazing people. So it was fun to do and almost kind of shell-shocking to see them, right? You almost like fangirl and crush. But I met the lady of Publish, you guys. Oh my God. I have been fangirling after Kathy for so long. So when was there, Russell, we'll have to talk about Publish. Publish is an amazing tool for authors. And you can be on it. And there's ones that's there's little bubble things, but it helps you with metadata and all kinds of stuff within your book. We use it, Russell. It's going to help us further along with your book. I use them. But I just fangirled over Kathy. So when she came to my table, I was like, oh my God, I've dreamt of meeting you. So it was a funny thing. If you guys know me in person, I'm quirky in person more so than I am online. But I gave my first in-person 45-minute to an hour presentation, you guys. Wow. And that was extremely difficult to do. Okay, because it's not my thing. I'm better behind the screen, like when we do author talk, right? And I had to go to Russell's place and I would flip the camera over to myself. I'm much more fun behind the camera than in person. Okay. Yes. My hands were clammy. And I just got up there and I'm like, what if these people don't get my humor? Because, it's kind of.
May I say something?
Yes, you can.
One should always be feeling the way you do before a performance, or it doesn't mean anything and you don't want to do well at it.
Well, that makes me feel a little bit better because I wasn't nervous about my trip going, setting up my table, doing all that, talking about what I do. You guys know I can talk about that in my sleep. I don't have any problems doing that. I have a problem getting up there and doing a presentation. I'm afraid because I know it so well that I'm just talking about stuff that everybody knows and nobody's learning anything. And then I'm like, oh my God, I've wasted these people's time and energy and money, right? It's my biggest fear. I don't know why, but it just truly is. And all of you guys, Russell, Valerie, you guys always get my humor and my quirkiness, right? And you either laugh at me and I think you're laughing with me, and that's what we're going to all do. We're all laughing with you, Aimee. Yes, you are. And so I didn't know if that's how it was going to be perceived. So it was really fun. Everyone was really nice and came and told me I did a really good job. They didn't know it was my first time. I know that they were just being nice to me, and I will take it. I will take it 100%. But it was just a lot of fun. And I will say that the community that's in the Women in Publishing, like their whole community, is one of the most supportive author communities I've probably ever encountered and been around. And it is just a wonderful experience. Their keynote speakers were energetic and just, got you ready to party and go and do lives and do all these things, which, is what authors need. You all need that little push off the cliff. Okay. We mean it in love, but you all need that. And so, I just met some amazing people from all over. And Russell, why didn't you tell me this? Okay. I did not know that from Augusta, Georgia to like South Carolina is only an hour and a half. Okay.
I told you it's nothing.
Yeah.
Oh my God. My mouth dropped when someone told me that. And I was like, in an hour and a half, I am like maybe halfway to Austin or barely moving in traffic in Houston. I'm like, what is this? You can be in a whole new like state. And I was just shocked. And you could tell that I was the person that is not cultured and does not travel. And like at the airport, Russell, okay, you're going to laugh at me and I already know it's coming and it's coming. I looked like a damn toddler lost at Disney World at Bush Airport. I did not know what I was doing. I had to ask people for help. Okay. I was definitely one of those like, I think we need to go over here, because my friend went with me and I was like, I think we need to go over here. And like, and the parking garage, please don't get me started. They had little green arrows and there was a damn car there. Okay. There was not an empty parking spot. And you have to go all the way down to go all the way up. And airports aren't my friend. I looked like a deer in headlights or a toddler lost at Disney World. And Josh was calling me. He's like, did you get through security? Do you know where you're going? You need to take the Skyway to get to your terminal. Did you make it on time? Are you there? And I just stopped answering. Okay. Like I just stopped answering him, to be completely honest. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. And you're making me feel overwhelmed. So I can only imagine, Russell, if you were there, you would have been like, look at these two. They have no idea what they're doing.
Can I make you feel better?
Yes, please do.
I actually completely understand because I travel with a woman that travels every week. So she's like this expert at going through security, doing everything, checking in ahead of time, making upgrading, all those things. And I'm like you, except I have her there to reprimand me constantly to make sure that it's smooth. So I actually am very sympathetic with you. If you don't do it all the time, you're bumbling. It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
I am the same way. I am the same way.
It was crazy. And then I didn't realize that there are like some airports that only have one terminal and one security point, right? Because Bush has like every single option, right? Yes. And so it was just the craziest thing to me coming home, right? Because the line for security with Charlotte was like out the wazoo. And they're like, oh, it's only 10, 20 minutes. I said, I don't think you understand. I have like 40 minutes to get through this and to get to wherever my gate is. Okay. And y'all don't want to see me.
So you're a late to the airport person.
No.
I hate late to the airport people.
I wasn't late to the airport. So here's my whole thing. Okay. This is how you can tell I'm a very inexperienced traveler. Okay. I don't research airports on where I'm going, what their security line is like. I just don't know because I don't know these things. Right. Bush, I was there 2 hours early and I spent 30 minutes looking for parking because I was trying to find a way to go back up and not down. And I had to go down. And that took me a hot minute to realize, and I'm not a dumb cookie. Okay. But it took me a minute to realize that. But no, I was in back-to-backs at the conference till 11:45. So the lady that went with me, she broke down my table. We were ready to go. So I said my goodbyes and our Uber was downstairs waiting for us, which, fun fact, I've never used an Uber until this trip. Okay. I was always told stranger danger. You don't get in strangers' cars. Okay. But then I did. I know, Russell. I know.
I don't either, Aimee. I hardly have a reason to use an Uber. I'll just catch a ride with somebody or somebody else just order the Uber, but I don't need it.
I use Uber to go to restaurants even.
Russell, okay, but I don't want to die. Okay, I don't want to die. It's like this. I remember. See, See, Jan is laughing at us because she gets it. Hi, welcome.
Hello.
Welcome.
Hello.
So I traveled to North Carolina, Jane, this weekend, and it was a lot of firsts for me. First time flying, first Uber, first leaving Texas. Okay, and Russell's laughing because I'm over here. It's my first time using Uber. Stranger danger, okay? My mama taught me not to get in cars with strangers, even if they have candy and stuff. And I made that joke to our Uber driver that was there at noon, right? Russell, to take me to the airport. I did not know that a 1:30 flight, I couldn't be at the airport by 12:15. I didn't know this, okay? I'm learning.
How can you not know that? How can you not know?
All of you guys can shut your mouth because I made it 10 minutes to spare on my airplane and I stopped and got a Starbucks.
That's worse.
I made it.
That's worse.
No, it's not. I had 10 minutes. I'm so proud.
That was luck.
At 1:04, my ass was in my seat with my Starbucks, my luggage put up, and the doors closed at 1:14. So
so she even had time to go to Starbucks after she made it through security.
That's what I'm saying. I had time. So I am an experienced traveler. That's what that
You are not an experienced traveler. I hate people like you,
Russell, but I made it. Okay, that's all that matters. But my Uber driver, okay, so I made the joke to my Uber driver because she was talking, and I loved that because it made me feel a little bit more comfortable and not so out of place. I know Russell doesn't like that, but I made the joke, and I was like, my mom taught me not to get in the car with strangers, even, I said, but at least you didn't have candy lure me in. Oh my God, she did. She had mints and Tootsie Rolls and everything. And I said, oh my God, I'm just going to stay in this car. You've lured me in with mints and I'm just going to stay. Mints is different than cookies, or chocolate to lure me in.
Poor Josh.
Oh my gosh.
I feel so sorry for your husband.
It was a fun experience. First time going to like an in-person event in a long time, talking at one. So, it was just a fun adventure. I will say. The Charlotte airport, though, only having one security, I was sweating bullets. But the line said 10 to 20 minutes. And, I'm not a numbers or math girl, but I was getting my time right. I was like, we have got to be done at 12:45. And that's like getting our shit through security and putting it in my bag and doing all this stuff. Okay. And then I was like, well, where's our terminal? And I'm like, oh, it's just around the corner. No big deal. No. Okay. They're around the corner is like us North 40 folks. Okay. Let's all, park at the North 40. They're around the corner. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I did a light trot, but then I saw the Starbucks and I had to backpedal because, if your girl was going to miss a plane, it's because I was getting my Starbucks. If you want me to be nice on the plane, you want me to have that. You know what I'm saying? So it was a fun time. I met a lot of really interesting, fun people. I met a lot of our clients like Cece Robinson. I met her. Johnny, I met. Dan's daughter, Megan, I got to meet. Fun, just amazing group of women. Effie was there, who was the only man in the crowd. And kudos to him. I absolutely love that. And so it was just a really fun time. I would totally do it again. Though I will say, I don't know, I might drive it next time because I'm just a terrible flyer. I've never held on to like an armrest harder in my life than on Spirit because, on a roller coaster, your stomach goes up to your throat. The older we get, the harder, at least for me, it's really difficult to do. And I was holding on for dear life. And I'm glad I didn't meet my Spirit on Spirit, but I understand the name of the airline now. I will tell you that for sure. But I know everybody else had a fantastic, great weekend. Russell, I told you I had a lot and I tried to spill it out as fast as I can. But Russell, I'm dying to hear what you did this weekend, and then we'll get to Jan and Valerie.
I don't know if I can even talk. You've got me stressed out.
What? I made it. You can't be stressed when I made it.
Plus, Spirit Airlines, you never know when they're not going to reschedule you.
I know, but know what? We made it. And that's all that matters is I made it with 10 minutes to spare. And you bet that that's what I'm going to tell people. Been like, oh, no, an hour and a half's fine. You made it. No big deal. I'm telling you. I love it. The challenge is real, Russell.
Okay. So, I had quite the week. I did my first true crime podcast as a guest. And it was so much fun. I researched the whole week before, and we were discussing 2 weeks ago, a sheriff walked into in Kentucky into the judge's chamber and murdered the judge.
What?
And that was the case that we talked about. It was quite a case, and she's already rebooked me for next month to do an update on it. So it was quite the case, and I got a great review that said that I got a great 5-star review that I was hoping that my publisher will be able to use as we promote it. I never heard from her. She was apparently busy running around airports, not knowing what she was doing. But I have ambition that she will one day respond to my emails about it, and that someday I will hear our plans on how to use this unbelievable review. Thank you, Mickey. I had another podcast on Saturday, but the lady was sick, and I'm doing it at 1:00 today with a European podcast station. So I'm very excited about that. And I got a stern remark from my wife this weekend because once again I injured myself playing pickleball, which is the most ridiculous thing you can possibly do. And so I had a great weekend, and yes, I use Uber all the time because I spent 40 years getting people out of jail because they just had a couple of drinks and then tried to drive home. So if I know I'm going to have a couple of drinks, I Uber. And I think that you should too.
Look at you being responsible. I was sober as a jaybird. Okay, to be fair, I just didn't want to rent a car because I don't want to drive in a new state, in a new city. Because the last thing I need is to get a ticket in that city. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the last thing that I need. And I get lost easily. So, But I made it. I also stranger danger. Okay, I don't know. I'm more cautious, Russell. But yet your publisher got your text messages and all of your emails. Your publisher was out marketing you and herself, and she will get back to you momentarily.
Oh, she's busy running around airports.
Looking like
she's running late in airports. I can imagine with all your luggage and your poor friend that had to wait on you. And we got to go to Starbucks first, but you have 5 minutes. Don't worry.
Okay, so now's not a good time to tell you that one of my under the seat bag got through the second round of security that it is, and they had to take my stuff out because I packed so many pins. And they were like, "How many pins did you pack?" I was like, "I don't know what I'm getting into," and I just grabbed a lot. And they're just like, "We can't see through them." They just laughed at me the whole time.
I so am not surprised you had to have extra security. I'm so not surprised.
And that's the kind of thing where you cringe going, "No, not today. I'm in a hurry. Not today."
I just laughed at them because I was like, "I promise you they're just pins. I'm not going to stab people with pins."
And the thing about those little airports is they usually send more people through second security than the big ones. So you had more of a chance to get hit.
Well, no, Bush did it first, and the guy just laughed at me the entire time he was unbuckling my bag because he was like, "What did you pack?" Well, I just sat there and laughed the whole time. I mean, what am I going to do? I can't control. If I make a scene, I'm going to go to airport jail. I don't have time for that. I don't have Russell's number memorized yet for that. So I just
even though he texted you a bunch.
I know, right? I didn't know if they were going to text me.
Not that I knew whether she was getting it or not, though. Valerie.
To be fair, I told you I was going. To be fair, I told you I was going. You just forgot. And then you injured yourself in pickleball. We're going to have to wrap you in bubble wrap. Okay?
That's what my wife said, and she didn't mean it in a nice way.
I meant it in a nice way.
She said, "The old man keeps breaking."
Valerie, Jan, what did you guys do this weekend? I hope it was a little bit smoother than mine and Russell's.
Mine was very, very just just kind of looking. What was Friday? We started out with Drunk Dracula. They have thing here it was called Drunk Shakespeare. So then it was so popular, they created a show called Drunk Dracula. And so they take the whole Bram Stoker story, and then while they're presenting it, it's in a very small, intimate theater. And then they're in the center, and they take shots as they're presenting the show. Some of the characters do, and then they involve the character, the audience with it and everything. But it was silly, it was witty, it was hilarious. They even did like a beer bong thing in the middle of the show with some of the audience people. It was silly, but it got, I guess, it was a good Halloween different version of Dracula. And then Saturday I had a market, which I'm so grateful that the high on Saturday was 88, because yesterday was 95. And so I didn't melt at the 10 to 8 time I was there.
Valerie, you're such a Houstonian. You're such a Texan.
Yeah, because you're like,
only Texans say 88. Man, that was cool.
Yeah,
that was
I
cool.
love that about Texas.
Our sweaters.
Yeah, because you're setting up for the market at 9-ish. You're there till like dark, 7:30-ish, 8 or whatever. And just like, you know what? I am so grateful. It wasn't 95. I did do good. I met a lot of great people. They liked my books. I had a great time connecting, but it was a good weekend. And then Sunday I had to recover, just recover. So it's good. Today's a good day. It's a good Monday so far. Knock on wood. How about you, Jane?
So, Western North Carolina, Helene disaster.
Yes.
So, we got power late Saturday night. We got water back hooked up at the farm on Sunday. So we're gradually making it out. Book is totally back of mind, like absolutely totally back of mind as we navigate this. And it's I'm sure you've seen some of the coverage. You've probably seen more TV about it than I have. Every time I turn on the TV, I get so upset and mad that I can't, handle it. So there for a second. Internet may be a little intermittent at this point, but anyway, so we had lots of trees down, lots of fence damage, lots of roof damage. All of our animals are fine. We raise alpacas and Angora goats. We're a fiber farm. So Saturday was our shearing day for Angora goats, and we went ahead with shearing because the shearer and her husband are super handy and were willing to come in with no power and do it by generator. And smartest decision, because they were totally steady Eddie. We were with them for an entire day and a half, and it really stabilized the farm. So I have a pretty young team, a lot of high school and college students that are on the team. And it's been a real hit for them. I mean, it's a lot to navigate a group through a big disaster like this.
And your farm itself is okay. Besides, you said
okay, just lots of tree and fence and roof damage. So
that's good. Yes,
but we're okay. No, we did not lose the first animal, and we have friends that lost everything. So
yes.
Yeah,
my beach house was a Ike survivor back in 2008, so I can totally relate just to all of that. Just it just breaks my heart for you guys. 100%. Just praying for you.
Yeah, and we can feel it. I think in the coming days the death toll is going to be shocking, and we can feel it. You can feel it. So everybody's walking around with a broken heart and grateful to be alive. So
absolutely.
And Russell, you'll hate to hear this, but I think every pickleball court in a 50-mile radius has been taken over for supplies.
Good. That means old people like me won't hurt themselves.
There you go. See,
That's where it's like there's one in Boone that they're using. It's a pickleball court. It's completely full of supplies. There's no pickleball happening.
During hurricanes, that's what you're supposed to do.
Okay, good. Well, I
Yes.
just didn't want to hurt your feelings. So
No.
Well, I'm so excited to hear about your journey, Jane. Tell us a little bit about how all this evolved.
So I started, in 2000, I met an alpaca. I was living in Louisville, Kentucky, and I had a 1-year-old, and I met an alpaca and fell in love. And the story family starts there, sort of a little bit before that, but around that time. So I meet an alpaca and decide that that's what I want to do in my life. At that point, I was a cookbook author. And I was living in Louisville, Kentucky. I managed some real estate. So I was, in business and a cookbook author. And I had been to this area, to Blowing Rock, for a book signing for the cookbook. Actually been twice. And this was the first place we came to look for property as an idea. And so here we are 23, 24 years later. And we have a thriving alpaca farm. We're a destination for agritourism. People come and take tours.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still on. Okay, am I back?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. It looks like I'm going away and coming back. I can't tell. So I'll just keep talking.
That is correct. You are going away and coming back.
We can fill in the pieces though, because you're like, you had an idea and then you cut out, and then it was like 23 years later, here we are.
You on the edge of your seat.
Yeah. I love it.
Okay. So you're supposed to do that, right? With a book, you're supposed to leave people going to the next chapter. So anyway, so we started with, building a barn and fences and the whole 9 yards, and then added alpacas. And we've been through all sorts of journeys and natural disasters. We had lots of ice storms and snowstorms that were kind of like what we've been through, although not as bad as what we're going through right now. So had a little practice to get ready for this.
You're
never really 100% prepared though. You can try and try.
Never.
So you've got your farm going, and then what prompted you to write this story?
So I would tour people around the farm, and I would take, a group of a family, and I would get about halfway through the tour, headed up the hill by the goats, and they would turn to me and they'd say, okay, what, how, why did you do this? And I couldn't answer it. I didn't have an answer. So the book was my way of going through and answering that question. And it started as a nonfiction story about starting the farm, quickly turned into memoir when I realized that I had a protagonist and an antagonist and those kinds of things. And so then off I went right into the whole memoir part, and bringing in what had happened in my past led to where I was and all of those things. So yeah.
But how do you feel about, being able to produce a memoir? That is so, it's
oh my
very
gosh.
personal,
Oh my gosh. It's such so writing a memoir is a harrowing journey in and of itself, I would say. There were literally times when I was writing that I would phone a friend ahead of time, and I would say, okay, I'm going to be working on this next piece. I think I need to go really deep, and you are my line. Like I was a scuba diver, right? And they were my tagline that I would pull to get me back up. And it was a very emotional journey, but very healing journey to write a memoir. And the story it's such a wonderful story, I think. I mean, it's a great story of having a dream and creating a dream. And so the farm started with me as a solo mom of a 2-year-old, right? So we moved here. We didn't know a soul. We joke we haven't met a stranger. And we started this farm, right? Built this farm and started it. And then in that process, what we created was a family, which is a farm family. And farms do not exist on their own. They exist in a community of support. Right? You can't do it alone, even though I'm in the middle of the most independent, rugged group of individuals I've ever lived with in my life, right? Like these people up here, just, they're so independent. And a farm, you have to have somebody that's helping you with hay. You have to have a farrier. You have to have a vet. Like there is this whole community around a farm. And then to be successful, you have to have the group that you then sell your products to. So we do tours of our farm. And as a case in point, throughout this entire hurricane experience, disaster, we have been getting emails, voice messages, Facebook messages from people who've been to our farm one time, checking to see how we are. Is there anything we can do? What can we send you? And we've had people call who have family that are close by, and they're like, can you go check on my aunt? Nobody's heard from her. And we were that connection out to this much bigger community. So it's been an amazing experience. Building a farm, going through this, and just remembering who we are in the community of farm that we are.
I feel like you might have another book in process there.
That's what it says. I don't know. I don't know if I'm brave enough to write a second one, man.
Well, I mean, this is another part of your journey as a farmer, you know, just talking about the community. And I'm sure so many people could relate as well, you know, especially after you endure this whole hurricane thing and just coming together as a community. It's very, very touching and so overwhelming just to build back.
Yeah. And it's going to be a long build back.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, it will be. Yes.
A long build back.
So did you have a mentor going into this to become a farmer? Because
I did. I actually, for the farm or for the book?
For the farm itself, and then going into the book?
The farm I didn't. I was just taken by the idea, and I kept, I just kept it alive. Like, I want to raise alpacas. I want to be in the mountains of North Carolina. So then the first thing was to check and see if this area felt good. Right. And then I guess if there was a mentor along the way, it was those signals we get in life that we're on the right path. Road we bought the house on is off Oliver Hill Road. I actually knew somebody named Oliver Hill. Right? The man who owned the house was John. My father was John. My brother was John. It was just
all these little things coming together.
And there was a church down the road that was a stone Episcopal church with the arched red door. And that's where I grew up. I was baptized in a church like that. I mean, even down to the slate roof. So there were so many clues along the way. So if there was anything that was a mentor, it was God and that magical presence that comes in our life on a day-to-day basis.
Yes. But, a little divine intervention saying, go this way, go this way, go this way.
It actually probably would have been easier to move than to not move, because there was just such a force behind it, right? It would have been harder to resist that urge and not do it.
And then you were saying, did you have a mentor to help write the memoir?
So with the book, I did. Yeah, with the book, I got this email just kind of out of the. It was somebody who was in the writing world, and she was actually in the end of her email. She was like, "If you're interested in going through the book process, my friend Jeffrey is doing this workshop." And I ended up in the workshop. I still have no idea how I got her email because I'm not on her list. Other divine intervention, maybe. And a friend of mine knew about it, but forgot to send it to me. So like, we have no idea how. She couldn't remember her name. So it's like, I don't know how I found out about it, but I ended up in this class called Your Captivating Book. And that was the beginning of it. And it was in that class that he brought up the idea of an antagonist and a protagonist. And I raised my hand. This is the moment it became memoir. I raised my hand and I was like, what do you do if your antagonist is reluctant?
So wait, so who is the antagonist in your book?
My father.
Yes. Yes. And how did that shape your story?
What's that?
How did that shape your story?
Oh, totally changed the story. Totally. Well, and I was just beginning to write it, but it totally changed the story to a very personal, my relationship with my family. And that's where the family part came in, right? Because I was leaving family of origin, creating a new family, basically. with the son and myself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, and that is so deep. That's a deep reflection of yourself. Did you feel that was you as you were writing?
Totally. And I healed. So the backstory with my family was that my father was never able to get beyond the social norms of having a husband and being married and all of those things, and never really on this side of heaven was able to accept my son. And I was able to forgive that, like, on so many levels in writing this book. And I think it's something that I'm not alone in. I think there's lots of people who go through life and there's they can't accept. And there's people who are the recipients of that lack of acceptance that carry it for the rest of their lives. And it's not necessary. And so for me, I was able to forgive that.
Mm-hmm.
That was the gift of writing a memoir, was being able to forgive all the things that happened around it.
Yes. And then you're, by doing this forgiveness aspect in your memoir, then it's like you can release all of that into the positive energy into your farm.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it sounds like that's what you're able to share with your story. Do you feel like that is what became
Oh,
the
absolutely.
expression?
Absolutely. And you know how it is with a book, everybody gets what they need to get. I mean, I have friends who know me, who went through the whole thing with me, including the book process, and know the forgiveness that we're there. And they call me when they finish the book and they're like, I hate your father. Like, that's not the point. That's not the point. But that's where they are, right? And that's their reflection in the book. And there's always that reader reflection that happens in a book, and people get different things from it. So,
and you know, that even happens in fiction stories. People will bond with a character and then develop that relationship, but they're developing maybe the relationship with you, or like they recognize like that happened in my life. And so by you sharing this story, it's really a chance for people to also journey with you and see how you came out in a positive direction.
yes, exactly. Exactly. And one of my goals, you know how it is when you're writing a book, you've got certain goals. And it's like, one of the goals that I had in writing this is not everybody gets to live a farm life. Not everybody gets to live the animal side of a farm life. And I really wanted anybody who read the book to have that experience, because I can't give that experience to everybody, even when they come to the farm, right? It's a whole different thing when you come to the farm, but I want to have them be with me as I sat on the floor of a cold barn, willing an animal to live. That's an experience that very few people get. And it's changed me in amazing ways.
Sure. That's a priceless experience to share for so many. Because like you said, not everybody can do that. And you know, if we're stuck in the city over here, we're not going to know. But that is incredible. Russell, did you have any questions?
I have several questions. The
Uh-oh.
first one's about the memoir. This is very important.
Okay.
So, if you went as deep as a good memoir is supposed to go, how did you do that without hurting those people around you? I always find that a traumatic part of authors dealing with that subject.
So I found, first off, I think, so when you're writing, or when I'm writing, there is the reliving the moment, right? You're going back in and reliving it, like physically, emotionally, at whatever deep level. And then there's that perspective that happens. And then there is what's me and what's them, right? Because what I'm experiencing in a situation is different than the person who might be in the situation with me. And I was worried about that in the beginning of writing the memoir. And I found that as I wrote it and I got to my truth, right, and my emotion, that I was able to write it in such a way that I didn't cross that boundary. And I didn't have to worry. Some of the people that I wrote about, my father's no longer alive. My stepmother is still alive. My son is alive, right? So some of the people that I was writing about are living and some are not. And it was always I kind of had a filter. Am I writing this to get it out? Am I writing it out of vengeance? But in that forgiveness, the vengeance part wasn't even there. I don't know that it was there to begin with, but that went away. I was able to see, that line of, I don't need to say this to get my experience across, right? I can be gracious, right? In how I tell the story that is my truth, but doesn't step on somebody else's toes. And I hope that that's the way it comes across. I don't mean anything mean by what I wrote. It's really my experience, and I can only report what I experienced. Does that help?
Yes. I wanted to know what your journey was in dealing with that, because I knew that you had to deal with it.
Oh, I definitely did. And then the other piece of it was that I got advice early on just to write it. Just get it out there, write it, and then we'll deal with those issues later on. And so that was part of it, was I just got it out. And I had to, it's interesting because as I was writing about one thing, I would have to go back and write about 3 experiences from my past and get those cleared before I could write about the one here. Because most of what I was experiencing wasn't just the situation I was in, right? It was 3 things that happened to me along the way that I needed to clear first.
So that leads me to the next question is, how do you feel about discussing it on these podcasts that you're on?
I don't have I feel pretty open about it. I can remember one time early on when I was writing and I was driving up 194 and I was like, it was so in the writing process that I hadn't looked up or thought in a bigger point of view. And I imagined being on a podcast and being asked about having a child out of wedlock. And I was like, I can't say that in public. And then here I've written the book, right? Like but it was in the process of writing that I got okay with it. But in the very beginning, I was like, no, we can't. I mean, we can't talk about that. And now, it's funny. I'll have a friend read it and they'll text me and they're like, I feel like I'm reading your personal diary. And, and I'm imagining, oh, I wonder if they're reading the scene about me at the gynecologist when I find out I'm pregnant and I'm confirming the pregnancy, or, I mean, like, what scene are they reading? And it's very vulnerable and it's very truth telling. And yet I think that that's what we need to do. Like, getting to truth is really important for us and for the people who read our work.
So it leads me to the next question, which is, how do people find out about your farm? What's this Facebook page about your farm? And how do they find your book?
So they find out about the farm, word of mouth, social media, and or our website. And we are Apple Hill Farm NC.com is our website. We're Apple Hill Farm on Facebook, and generally we're on Instagram too. We are on Instagram too, but we're mostly posting on Facebook right now. And we are about ready to start doing, stuff on our website. We have a store on our website. Did I lose you?
Yeah, she lost us about the store.
Okay, so our store's about to go back online in terms of sales through our website, and Amazon is the best place easiest way to get the book. So it's in digital form and in paperback, and you can get it on Amazon. So
awesome. Well, we're so glad to talk to you today, and it's just been a pleasure because I'm so happy you guys are okay. Because when I saw that you're coming from North Carolina, we were just like, oh, hopefully everything's good.
Yeah, and keep praying for the area because we need lots of prayers. It's really bad. So,
well, coming from Houston, we know.
You understand. Yeah,
we can sympathize and just support as best we can.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much. So happy for your book.
Yes,
and the farm sounds magical.
It is magical. It's wonderful. It's very healing, and it's a great place to.
Sounds like a lot of work to me.
Well,
Says
It's a
the guy
labor
who
of
doesn't want to
love.
stop at Starbucks in the airport, right?
Right.
Yes, yes.
That's imprudence
that's
and a lack of proper planning. That's all I have to say.
That's a labor of love, Jane. You got it.
It's
You
a
got it. I
labor
know.
of love. It is absolutely
Mhm.
a labor of love. And
Mhm.
and if you get on our website, you'll see, or on our Facebook, see the pictures of all the things that we love.
Mhm.
We
Maybe you're
can't hear
muted.
you, Amy. You're just talking
You're mute.
away, but nobody can
Hey,
hear anything you say.
I was going to
Hey.
say that her priorities are the same as mine, and we're on the same page. And so, Russell, you're the odd man out because all of us are in agreement that we would stop and get a Starbucks. Okay, so you are the odd man out in this situation, and we all probably would still make it to our plane with 10 minutes to spare before they close the doors.
I
Okay?
hate people like you.
I'm just
I
going to
hate
throw that out there.
Well, just so you know, we had a generator going on Saturday so that we could make coffee and share goats. Because
See?
coffee's important.
Yeah, I'm telling
Priority.
You know, I'd have give anything to have a cigar and watch that. That had to be a show that day, didn't it?
It was a
No, I love it. But I will chime in for Russell. So, you guys, we are incredibly grateful to all of our listeners and watchers. More people, Jan, listen to us than they do watch us live on Monday mornings. We like to come live so we can see and engage in all of our funness and our fun facial expressions and motion of the hands, because I talk a lot with my hands, but control comes out of my mouth. But we want to thank all of those. Russell likes to say that our podcast is 45 minutes long for the average workout. If you work out and go to the gym, or if you are like me, like power to you, we don't do that. And we're just running our ass up and down the stairs with our kids. Okay. So, whichever does it for you, but that's why it's 45-ish minutes long. Okay. But we want to thank all of you guys. We have been around for 8 years. We are coming up on 9 in January. And so if you want to go and listen to us or watch us, if you want to watch us, we'll do that first. You can go over to any one of our social media channels, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, all of those. You can join us and engage with us live. We love chatting with you guys and getting your questions answered and laughing at us or with us if you want. And I'm just going to say we all laugh with each other because it just makes me feel better. But half the time I'm laughing at myself. Okay, to be fair. If you want to listen to us, go on over to anywhere that you can find a podcast, Amazon, Spotify, Good Pods, iTunes, Google, so many other ones that you can find us. Type in AuthorTalk, look for the crimson, red, and gold, because I was selfish and picked those colors because they are my favorite. They are my favorite. But make sure you go over there and you can hear all of our episodes in the past 8 years from where we started to where we are. And this one will be up not even this evening, it'll be up right after this. So make sure that you go and listen to us, drop us your feedback. But until next week, everyone, we hope you all have a fantastic week. Please keep praying for North Carolina and for all those that were affected, and for Florida, because they're fixing to get hit again. So make sure that we keep all of them in our prayers. And if you have the resources to send supplies and stuff to them, please, whatever is what they need in terms of support. But until then, have a great rest of your week, everybody. Have a great Monday. And until then, bye for now, everybody.